Amy, Amy, can you unmute?
I'm trying. Hi, Amy Spain Duncan, alcoholic. Thank you to my friends, Peter and Ralph. Happy birthday, Ralph. I wanted to, I get so much from Alan on speakers, more than I ever thought I would, but would you please now go over that fear ladder just real quick so I can write that down, those 3 things you said?
For sure, absolutely. So your fear is at the base of the ladder, which causes your delusions, which then cause your thought, which then cause the action. And you can start anywhere on that ladder. And I really do want to say the biggest piece of this is the self-will side. There's 4 rungs on that ladder. If I am sitting with God and I am actually working in God's will, there's only thought and action. There's no fear and delusion. There's just the thought and action. But it's a wonderful, wonderful tool.
Thank you for that answer on that. I don't see any additional hands. I've got a question that I'll throw out. Uncle Ralph, happy birthday, first of all. You posed a question. You said, where did defects of character come from? And you said there were 3 points there. I think you only gave maybe 1 or 2. You said free will, and then you mentioned self-will. Were there 2 others, or can you expand on that just a little bit?
Thanks, Ron. I don't know if that was in relation to where they come from. When I mentioned the 3 wills, I said there's God's will, there's self-will, and there's free will. And our defects, and the only other thing I can recall talking about defects of character, my primary place that they come from is self-centered fear. And that's what the book says. Well, Ralph's life really says that. That's the theme of my life. I was interested, and I hate to crosstalk, but I was even interested when Nat talked about, I don't want to give up the chameleon. The chameleon seems to work. And when I think of my defects, because it'll seem to me that is an ability I've honed to be somebody, but maybe, just maybe, it's that the authentic me works. And I've been so busy telling myself the narrative. I heard a guy share, when you do the 6 and 7, it's like this. Okay, God, if you take this away, what I need from you, again, I'm bargaining, but it really made sense to me. I'm going to need to be okay when you take it away. Peter talked about, and a lot of men and a lot of women can probably identify, always got to keep a spare. Always, this business monogamy seems so difficult and so hard. And so sometimes if sex is particularly troublesome and you got, okay, God, if I'm going to do this, I need you to make me okay. If I'm going to take a chance on being the guy that stands in the circle and is the square guy that's not being, I'm going to need you to make me, and he's done that in a lot of areas with me. That idea, that need to be who I am to everybody, that's happened to me before I knew it happened. A lot of you guys hear me say all the time, one of the biggest fears I have is what I think you think about me. And that's the narrative I've been telling myself. But you know what, I'm really not as wed to that anywhere near as close. Anywhere near. You do what you do. Ralph is Ralph. Do what you do. I got this big deal being planned for Sunday. My daughters are planning. It's a really big deal with anybody in LA, and it's not enough RSVPs, the places, and unless it's like some people go, okay, that is what Ralph is Ralph. But anyway, I didn't mean to go down that road with that answer, but Nat, that was really interesting to me because I saw me and you. And sometimes I'll still be in the delusion. It's the defect that's working.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Kim B, what you got?
Hello, everybody. My name is Kim. I am an alcoholic, and I want to thank all of you so very much. Also, to say happy birthday to you, Ralph. I do go to the meeting, and I am very enlightened, and I'm learning so much from the meeting that you are host of on Sundays. Ashley, thank you so very much. A beautiful. Nat, I have learned so much, and I will be giving you a call. And Peter, I saw you a little while ago, and I just love how you speak about the mind, about the spirit, about all of that. And I am very embarrassed to share what I want to share now, but I'm going to do it only because I can learn. I want to learn. I
Yeah.
want to learn, and somebody else can. Yes,
Do you have a question or you're making a comment?
the question is right now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. What is the truth about anonymity, about me taking a picture right now when I am in an AA meeting? What is the truth about the anonymity? And either four of you can speak on this, but I'm very confused. I was booted off a meeting because I took a picture, and then somebody else told me that I am not breaking anonymity. Anonymity has to do with radio, films, and press. So can somebody please help me?
Kim, I think that's a little outside of our topic for tonight. I know you said you did grab Nat's number. If maybe you want to put your information in the chat, I'm sure there's tons of folks, and these folks will follow up with you and answer your question. But we want to try to focus on steps 4, 5, 6, and 7. Thank you. Anyone else with questions? Jen, why don't you come up? And Kim, I do see your hand again. But Jen, what you got?
Thanks so much, Rodney. Thanks for your service. And thanks again to all four speakers, just remarkable stuff. I wanted to ask, so for the Al-Anons, for the alcoholics in sobriety, are there the bondage of self, which for me, I tend to think of as, you know, which defects of character is still alive and well in my life? Do you recognize in yourself sort of the biggest bondage of self, and how does that show up? I'm interested from the Al-Anon, but also the sober alcoholic. You know, is that still something for you today in sobriety and in emotional sobriety for the Al-Anons?
Anybody wants to jump in? Go ahead, Peter.
My experience has been, I'll have defects until God gives me my last breath. What I do with them is really going to depend on where I am spiritually. But I have found, not that I'm immune from falling into them, because I fall into them. I walk right into me sometimes. But it seems to be the more light I'm standing in, I can hear the defects turning the corner and making their way into the conversation. I can feel it if I'm negotiating or talking to someone and the topic's getting hot. I can feel that other guy getting in there, and here comes, I need to be right, can't look stupid, win this, dazzle him with some information. That guy shows up, and I can start to hear him turning the corner. Conversely, it just seems to be when I'm okay with God, I'm okay with me, and I'm okay with me, I'm going to be okay with you. So everything quite frankly, all of this, it just goes back to where am I with God? Am I in the light or not? And if I'm not, I start to run into you. I started to run into everything. I'm paying really close attention to the bizarro world of politics, and then I'm taking sides, and then it's their fault. And you all are sleeping fine at night, and I'm punching my pillow to death trying to sleep. So it's about traveling a lot lighter. But I'll have defects. God made me broken. The aha moment, the realization I don't need to be perfect. He doesn't want me perfect. What great freedom and liberation and coming to terms with I'm broken and flawed, and the greater need for God who made it that way. A tremendous amount of work to be perfect. When the third step says, relieve me of the bondage of self. Here's me and there's self, and I'm tethered to it. And what the third step is, I'm going to God, is unhook me from this guy called self, because he's causing all the problems. And where does self reside? Right up here in the head. So less me, more God, less me.
Thank you, Peter. Anyone else want to chime in? Ralph, Ashley, Nat?
Yeah, I can jump in and share on that. Jen, when you asked that, I had to really think, because like Nat, I can give you a really long list of my defects, but which one is the deepest? If I had to pick one, I honestly, what eats my lunch and drives the harms I tend to cause is I like to punish when I don't get my way. And, the surface defect for that, punishing. I am punishing. Knowing the exact nature of how that manifests in my life every day is incredibly important in 6 and 7 to me. Because I can say, I like to punish, I'm punishing. What's the exact nature of that and how does it show up in my life? If I feel like you're somebody who only calls me when you need something, the minute I decide you only call me when you need something, I'll purposely stop responding to your text messages and your calls. If my boss doesn't acknowledge work that I've done for her and the way that I think it should be done in front of the people I think it should be done, I will purposely not raise my hand to be helpful. If I feel like my kid's father is not holding up his commitment the way that he said he would in the smallest way, he's not on time with the kids or needs to leave earlier than we talked about, my first thought is, you're not getting time with him this weekend. So for me, it's very insidious, like how the exact nature of my defects manifest. But for me, I think it's definitely being punishing. And that starts with my thoughts.
I can definitely relate to that. I'll chime in with something small, I think, but nothing I've said tonight is small, so we'll see. I find that my defects, though not gone, some have diminished quite a bit. And what I hold on to the most is, and it's only with specific things now, wanting something so badly to go my way and the things that I'll do to continue to do that. It is still very, very, very much about me. I make everything personal. I want everything to happen the way that I want it to. But the beauty of this program is, as I continue to walk these steps on a daily basis, they get a little bit smaller. I think it's the difference between the relief and the recovery, right? Like I get a little bit of relief as I start to go through the steps, but when I'm actually working in recovery is when, I give up the wanting everything to go my way with my job, right? I can let that one go, but when it comes to my house or my dogs, no. It's like this kind of tug of war between things that are most important to me at this time and not willing to let God really show me, what the path is for me. And and striving for a very specific outcome that I'm not willing to give up. And that one continues to kind of stick out to me more so than anything else.
Thank you, Nat. We've got 3 hands and just a couple minutes. So if you can get your questions in quick, and we'll try to get quick answers out as well. Next up, we've got Mike. What you got, Michael?
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much. My question is, as it relates to 6 and 7, and then the 7-step prayer. Step 6 said, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7 says, humbly ask him to remove these shortcomings. And then the prayer, I heard it said, and I've never thought of it this way, remove these defects that stand in the way of my usefulness to you. So the 7-step prayer seems to counteract at least step 6 with the all. And then the second part of my question is, when you're working with the sponsee and the sponsee comes to you and says, I'm ready to get rid of all these defects of character, except I want to hang on to a couple. Can you address that for me, please? Thank you.
Who wants to tackle that one? And we'll just have one response if we could, so we can be mindful of time here.
Well, once he says, I want to remove all, and then he says, except for, he's now negated the all, so I don't even pay any attention to that. No, you don't want all. You want some. Sandy used to say, I only want enough, I want to make enough money that I don't have to depend on God. You know, I want to make enough money that I don't have to depend on God. And I don't think I'm with Peter. There is no other way around it. You know, to be human is to be defective. So it's not contradictory, Mike, when it says we're entirely ready to have God remove all of them. I'm ready. It doesn't say I expect to be. Going to 12 and 12, it talks about not being, you know, rendered white as snow. So, and your life will show you. As a person, I'm not going to. So being entirely ready is, okay, God, I'm not balking at whatever. And it grows in concert with the prayer. Whatever you take from me, here's the beauty of a prayer. Don't read it so literally and think. Here's the beauty. A person is defective. Definition of human, right? Can we agree? If you're human, you're defective. Here's the beauty of that prayer. Well, God, since I have to be defective, it's a wonderful thing that we have a power that will transform that defect to somebody's highest and best use. That defect. And if we had enough time, we people here could all share how these very defects have been transformed, not in my hands, but God takes it and he makes it gold. That's what sponsors work with. Sponsors work with sponsors. The best sponsors have been victimized by their defects. We are not effective by our successes. We're effective because I like the Cagney movie. We're angels with dirty faces. We get dirty.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Right on time there. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of our Q&A session. Again, we want to respect the time and want to thank all of our folks who did ask questions and the opportunity to serve. At this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Jen.